This is Gemara Pesachim Daf Mem Dalit. All the learning for the month of Tevis has been sponsored as a special chosi the nishmasa v'lei Rashi b'svar leib v'yos chosi neshama fari leib ben Yaakov the neshama shaven aliyah, as well as today's Daf Mem Dalit. The Daf for the Chav Tevis has been sponsored as a special chos ili neshama for Yisei ben Nachman Chaim Halevi, whose yahrzeit is today Chav Tevis neshama shaven aliyah. The chos of the entire Chabur is learning should be his chos ili nishmasa, especially on his yahrzeit, as we learned today Daf Mem Dalit. Of course, our Chayim Chaim Chis ben Malki Demi ben Kiri. Sorry, Vaskenend, Basim Chayzay, Chaim Zaresta. Yosef Mindel, Eliezer President Shavalei Shalmaz and Amiva Shavim Shulchan Falotavim Yitzriv Shalom Ben Tehila, Tiniel Bechan Rezi Yuda, Aryeh Ben Yitar Natali, Aryeh Ben Cyril Michal Zerem Teli Avuva Librach Basivia Musa, Besoy Shar Chadi Yisrael. We pick it up in the bottom of Man Gimel and B. Some big Yardei concepts coming up today. Tam Ki Iker. We have Heter Mitzaref LeIser. And we're going to have the concept of chilas b'chdei, chilas pras. Let's get to it. Three tremendous concepts. Let's at least understand the basics of the Gemara and where everything comes from. So we begin on Mem Gimel and Beis. Says the Gemara, 5 lines to the bottom. Amar Rav Avua, Amar Rav Yechron. Kol Yisurin Shabbat Torah ein heter mitzaref l'Iser. All the Yisurin of the Torah, heter, Isser, do not combine unless you have the requisite shear, the requisite quantity of Isser. It's not an Isser. It's not forbidden. You're not going to be fully obligated chutz, except for Misuri Nazir, except for Nazir. She'amra Torah, the Torah says explicitly by a Nazir Mishras, which we learn out from this extra pasuk by Nazir, we learn now Mishras, that it's infused, that it was infused with these items, which comes to teach us that even when you don't have a full Isser, you only have a partial Isser, that will combine together with the rest of the heter in order to make one liable for eating the requisite shear by a Nazir. Uzi Amar, Ziri argues and he says, Av Sa'ar Bal Taktiru, even the Sa'ar Bal Taktiru, which we saw yesterday, we'll see in Rashi, 3 lines into the wide lines, Rashi says, like you had Chatzi Zayis Koimatz, the Sa'ar, Chatzi Zayis, the Matzah, the Karban Minchas, the Matzah, so you had half a Zayis of Matzah, we had half a Zayis of Sa'ar. Those two have a zisim. It's called a heter mitzaref l'Isra. That even though you do not have the full requisite one full kizayis, but the half and the half combined, it's as if you had the full thing, and therefore it's forbidden. So Machlokes Tanakama Amar Rav Rav Yechron says this din only by Nazir, whereas the Iri says this din even by burning the carbon mincha. Kiman says the Gemara, Rav Elazar the Darish Kol. Like we saw yesterday, Rav Elazar Darshind Kol, and therefore that's how we're going to learn out that Miksas Minayin, like we said, that if you have partial, you don't have a full kazayis, only a partial kazayis, still you're going to be liable. That's Rav Elazar said Kol. Now we understand the mechanics why you're liable for partial, because that's a Misarif Le'Isr. Says the Gemara, Yachiv, that's true. Moving along to Memdalim Aleph. Today's Daf, Yachiv, that's true. Linin Chametz. Pesach nam, you want to see the same thing by Chametz and Pesach, let heter mitzaref l'Iser, and even if you don't have the requisites here, you should be chayiv. Answers the Gemara, ein alchanami. It's true, you are chayiv. So obvious question is, if you are chayiv, so why do we have a whole machlekes Rav Yechanan versus Iri, whether it's a din davka by a nazir, or whether it's also a din by the burning of the mincha bal taktiru? Says the Gemara, why don't we say it also by chametz? Afuki, you know why? Midah Abaye, because it came to preclude from the din of Abaye. Damar yesh haktara lebachas megazayis. Abaye held that by the din of the mincha that you're not allowed to burn it with any leaven, with any sa'ar. Says Abaye even less than a gazayis. Kamash malon. So we're teaching us now like that taktara lav the bachas megazayis. It can't be less than a gazayis, but unless like the ziri. They're going to say heter mitzarif l'Iser, but not that you're going to be chayiv for less than a zayis. Says the Gemara, 4 lines down, Mem Dalam and Aleph. Yosef Rav Dimi v'karmel l'shmaitza. Rav Dimi was sitting and saying this thing. Amalei Abaye Rav Dimi. Abaye says to Rav Dimi, "Chol Yisurin Shabbat Torah and heter mitzarif l'Iser." Is that true? You just told me it's a din specifically by Nazir, a din specifically by Taktiru, by burning of this mincha. Says the Gemara, not by the rest of the Torah. But we learn to the Mishnah, Hamakfeh shel Truma, you have a makfeh, you have a porridge of Truma, of Hashum and garlic, V'Hashem and oil shel Chulin of Chulin. It's all mixed together. V'Nagat full yoim b'mixas, and it's full yoim. So it went to the mikvah, and he's waiting for the rest of the day. But it's important to know what level of Tumah is he. He is a sheni. Let's remind ourselves, a sheni cannot make a shlishi in chulin. Regular unconsecrated items cannot become a shlishi. But by truma, then a sheli could become a shlishi. So when the porridge is truma and you have some ingredients mixed in which are not in truma, and the tfil yoim touches part of it, pasal as kulin, it's all pasal. The Brisa Mishnah continues. Ha mikvah shel chulin. If you have a barge of chulin, v'hashav mashem shel truma, and you have a little bit of truma inside, v'nagat tfil yoim mixasa, and the tfil yoim touches part of it, lo yipasal ela makay magay. The place that he touched, that area is pasal. That area will become a shlishi because he's a sheni, and we'll make it into a shlishi bilvad. V'havina ba. We pondered on this Mishnah. Makay magaya my psula. Why is that? Why is the place that you touch become a shlishi? Why is that pasal? Ha balei tavlin b'raiv. Why don't we say that the shemen and the shom, the garlic and the oil of truma is batal? There's a whole porridge over here of chulin. There's a little bit of ingredient sprinkled in of truma, so those little ingredients should be batal. Rabbi Chana comes on and explains, matam oil v'zar loika aleim because you know why? Since a zar would get malchus on a kazayis, therefore, it's not batal. When it's not batal, therefore, what are we going to say? Heter mistarif leiser. And even though there's little dots of the shum, of the garlic, and the shemen, and the oil of truma sprinkled around, still the heter is mistarif leiser. The whole thing is considered as if it's truma, and therefore, when a tfil yoim touches part of it, that part that he touches becomes a shlishi. As the Gemara now explains, hey chidami lami sham the heter mistarif leiser. So we have a clear proof. Answer of dimi tabai. What's going on? We see clearly, even by dinam of truma, that we say heter mistarif leiser. That we say over here, even though there's only a little bit of truma, there's some garlic, there's some oil of truma. Still, we view the whole entity as if it's truma. Why? Heter mitzaref leiser. So we view it all as one entity. Therefore, when a tfil yoim, someone who's a sheni touches it, we view it as the shlishi. Answers the Gemara, loy. That's not the reason. You know the reason is my kazayis. What does it mean? A kazayis, the kazayis bechlei achilas pras. That's what it means. It's different than entirely. It means there is a kazayis that could be consumed within the time of Kidei Achilas Pras, the amount of time to eat a loaf of bread, between 4 and 9 minutes. Says the Gemara, are you telling me that din of Kizayis B'Chlei Achilas Pras, that is a din daraisa, and that's the reason why it's going to answer over here? Yeah. So why did the Rabbanan argue by Kuta Chabavli? Seemingly Kuta Chabavli should be the same din. If it's a din d'oraisa, what we're saying, and what's the din that we're saying that Achilas Kizayis? That what? Even though when you eat this kuta chabavli, you eat this Babylonian dip, you consume the little bits of bread, do you have a shear? Absolutely not. But within 4 to 9 minutes of eating this dip, then you will have the shear. So says the Gemara, so why are the Rabbanan arguing on Rabbi Lazar? Elamai, what must the reason be? Must be for a different reason. That by kuta chabavli must be the machlokes is, do we say this din of heter mizaref leiser? Do we say it says Rabbi Lazar, yes, that we say that the two combine and therefore there is the requisite shear? Say the Rabbanan, no. Says the Gemara, 1 minute. Safe. Amai polygram. Why is the Rabbanan argue with chabavli by that dip? Don't bring me a proof from there. You know why? The last bake is pras. It's a dip. To have a dip of pras, that's impossible. Says the Gemara. What's the case? You're chugging down the dip straight. The kasar of achale, you're swallowing it straight. That's strange. And if you eat something, which is an important rule in all achila, if you eat something in an abnormal way, we don't view it that way. We view it the normal way of eating. Normal people do not take dips and swallow the dips. So you have this kuta chabavli, you have this spoiled milk with bits of crusty bread inside. And how are you getting down the requisite shear of a kzayis in the right amount of time? What's the case? You swallow it straight? That's strange. You're batal. V'im mishamer. And if you're going to tell me Mishamer Koshatar, which Rashi explains, you use it as a dip, let's make bras. A dip, you're not going to have the requisite amount with bras. Therefore, says the Gemara, don't ask me questions from Kuta Chabavli. Obviously, it's going to be different. It's not going to work whichever way you're going to explain it. Says the Gemara, okay. Eisvei, ask the Gemara on what? Ask the Gemara on the previous case. Ask the Gemara on this new klal of Achila B'Kdei Achilas Kazayis B'Chlei Achilas Bras. Eisvei. Shtei kedei rice, 2 pots. This should sound familiar. Achashal chulin v'achashal truma. One of chulin and one of truma of names shtei maduchais. And in front of the 2 pots, there's 2 mortars. Achashal chulin v'achashal truma v'naflu teich v'naflu elu toch elu, and one fell into the other. And you don't know, did the chulin fall into the chulin, did the truma fall into the truma? What's Allah mutarim? Why? Shani Aimer, because I say truma teich truma naflu. The truma fell into the truma v'chulin teich chulin naflu, and the chulin fell into the chula. And if you're going to tell me like you're postulating right now that this din of Kedai is chilas bras, and that's how we answered up. The reason why you're going to get Malchus is because the din daraisa amayam rinhan shani aimer chuma v'chulu. So why are you telling me that in this case I would say and I would assume that the chulin falls to the chulu, the chuma falls to the chuma? What's going on? It's a din of chilas bras, meaning you're going to consume both of them, and therefore within the requisite share you're going to automatically be eating something tameh. So why are we allowed to view like the tumah falls into the tumah, the chulin falls into the chulin, the kachim falls into the kachim? What do you mean? Chilas bras? You're going to be consuming this entire entity. Amar le, no. Harach l'chuma tavlin derabanan. The shuma of tavlinim, of spices, the din derabanan, and therefore there's no question that you're asking me from this case of shtei kaderis. Says the Gemara, okay, Asi, let's try again, a very similar case. Shu they kupais, 2 boxes. Achashal chulin v'achashal truma of name, and in front of them bees saw in 2 saw. Achashal chulin v'achashal truma. We don't know what. One falls into the other. We don't know what fell into what. What's the halacha mutarim? Why? Shani oimer chulin techulin naflu truma techchuma. Naflu, ask the Gemara. The Amrik Kizayis bras rice. And if you're telling me, like you're saying right now, that this din of eating a kizai is eating the large quantity of dechilas bras, let's explain. It's a big chiddush. Let's not get confused. Because what's going on over here is that you're eating one dot, you're eating another dot, you're eating another dot. Each of those dots is not a kizayis. So you would think that you can't be chayiv da rice. You didn't eat the requisite shear. Chiddush is that as you keep on eating, within the 9 minutes you'll have consumed what? You consumed 5 kizesim, 5 kibeyas. You might have consumed a ton of quantity, but within that huge quantity there was a little bit, there was a full kizayis that was spread out within it. Therefore you're going to be liable midaraisa. So says the Gemara in this case, how can we say chulin zit the chulin, truma zit the truma? What do you mean when you consume it? You're going to have to consume the whole thing with echilas pras. Amai says the Gemara, Namrina, no, he says shani omer omer lei hanet l'truma. Don't bring me a proof from the truma bisman hazeh dirabanan. A similar teretz that the truma is a din dira banan. Says the Gemara, okay, so we effectively refuted all the questions on this rule of Kedais b'de'achilas pras, and we're seemingly saying it is a din deraisa. But now says the Gemara, hi mishras. This din of mishras, which was the din that we started back all the way into the beginning of today. Rabbi Eliezer taught us that mishras is infused, and that's the special din that we're going to say heter mitzaref l'isser by nazir. Says the Gemara, is that what the pasuk comes to teach us? We knew this pasuk for something else. Mishras, says the Gemara, we belong to Memdal and Amebeis. Litain Tam Ke'ik, or another tremendous concept in all Yardeya that gives us what? Tam, the taste of something is Ke'ikr. That what? She'im Shayran Avim Emayim. You soaked grapes in water. V'yesh B'hem Tam Yayim. And now the water tastes like wine. Chayiv, the Nazir is not allowed to drink that wine, even though there's no grapes in it. You soaked the grapes inside and you took out the grapes. What's left inside this water? Just Tam. Just taste. Still, what do we say? Tam, the taste is ke'ikr. It's as if the grapes are there. Therefore, the Nazir is not allowed to drink it. Bikan after dawn, and from here we learn now, the entire Torah that what? That Tam has the din of ke'ikr. So the Gemara is bothered. Why are you telling me that this din, that the pasuk of Mishras comes to teach us heter mitzaref iser, that when we have 2 entities together, we're allowed to view them all as one, which the original case that we spoke about was the bread that was stripped into the grapes that we're allowed to view, even though the grapes are not a kazayis, but the grapes together with the bread together is a kazayis, so we view that you're going to be liable. Ask the Gemara 1 second. The pasuk of Mishras is needed for something else. Tam ke'ikr, that there's no mamash, there's no grapes at all, and yet this Nazir is going to be chayiv for drinking the water, because the taste of the water is in there. Now the Gemara explains, Uman Nazir, the case of the Nazir. Sheini Surai Isser Eilam, the Isser of a Nazir is not forever, just for the end of the Naziris. Ve'eni Sur Isser Ana, there's no Isser Ana. V'yesh at the and eventually he's going to be mutter. Yet, also by tam ke'ikr, we view the tam, the taste, as if it's the and as if it's something substantially going to be liable. Kalayim, the din of kalayim sheisur Israelim, it lasts forever. If Yisur Isra no, and you don't get benefit. Ve'in naturally true. There's no etter for the Isser. Ain't no danger as a tam ke'ikr. So says the Gemara, the pasuk of Mishras is needed for something else. You start off today by telling me that Mishras can be used for what? Could be used to teach me the din of Heter Mitzaref L'Isser by Nazir. Says the Gemara, we need this power for the pasuk of tam ke'ikr. Says the Gemara, for what in the Arla, and same thing by Arla B'Shtayim. Says the Gemara, Mani Rabbanani. This brisa that learned that tam ke'ikr from the pasuk of Mishras is Rabbanan. For Rav Yochanan, the original Rav Yochanan, who said that from Mishras we learn out Heter Mitzaref L'Isser is Rabbi Akiva. It's like Rabbi Akiva. Says the Gemara, hey Rabbi Akiva, Elim Rabbi Akiva Demas Nisan Ar Mishnah Tanan. Rabbi Akiva learns Nazir. That he soaks his bread into wine, and there's enough quantity to combine kazayis that'll equal a kazayis between the wine and the bread together. Chayiv. You're a chayiv. Why? Because heter mitzaref leiser. Says the Gemara. So maybe that's the Rabbi Kiva that Rabbi Yochanan held like. How do you know? How do you know that together with the bread and the wine, together there's a kazayis? Maybe it means with the wine itself is a kazayis. But if you're going to tell me, so what's the chiddush? You're consuming a full kazayis. You know what the chiddush is? Even though it's in a mixture, it's inside the bread, so you would think you're not liable. Then you're still liable. So says the Gemara. So it can't be that Rabbi Kiva. So which Rabbi Kiva is it? Rabbi Kiva de Braisa. Again, we're looking for the Rabbi Kiva that Rabbi Yochanan holds like to teach us the din of what? Of the Heter Mitzaref L'Isser. And he's arguing on the din of the Rabbanan that learned out from this pasuk tam ke'ikr. So we're basically splitting over here. The Rav Yochanan learns like Rabbi Kiva, the pasuk of Mishras teaches me what? Heter mitzaref l'isser, that you can combine within one entity the forbidden and the permissible to combine to make the requisite shir. And whereas the Rabbanan are learning, no, that pasuk of Mishras is not for a heter mitzaref l'isser at all. That pasuk of Mishras is for what? Tam ke'ikr, and when there's no item inside at all, but the taste is there, that's enough to forbid you. Says the Gemara, so which Rabbi Kiva is it? Rabbi Kiva de Braisa, Tani Rabbi Kiva Oimer. No, he soaked his bread in there and he ate a k'zayis of the bread. Umi yain of the one chayv. Rabbi Akiva Tam is never yachayv. So that is the Rabbi Kiva says the Gemara that we see. The Rabbi Kiva clearly holds heter mitzaref leiser. Rabbi Kiva clearly holds that when the Nazir soaks up his bread, there's not the right quantity of wine yet. You're going to be liable. Why are you going to be liable? Must be because heter mitzaref leiser, and that is the split that we're ending off with right now. Rabbi Yochanan says like Rabbi Kiva, the pasuk of Mishras teaches me by Nazir the permissible combines with the forbidden after mitzaref leiser. Whereas the Rabbanan say no, they learn from the pasuk of Mishras a different rule entirely, the rule of tam ke'ikr. So now what do we always do? Now let's flop. How does everyone learn everything else out? Says Rabbi Kiva tam ke'ikr minale. Rabbi Kiva who's using this pasuk to teach me heter mitzaref leiser. Where does he know this rule of tam ke'ikr? Says Yal mi basar v'chalav lav taima ba'almahu. By basar v'chalav it only gives off a taste. Yet v'aser hachanami loishna. So to over here, basar v'chalav, your milk and meat, they're mixed together, but they're actually not actually cooked together. You're not allowed to eat it. Why? Because tam ke'ikr. So to an all kol terikula. V'rabbanan, the Rabbanan that have a pasuk of Mishras to teach me tam ke'ikr. So what do they do with basar v'chalav? Rabbanan mi basar v'chalav like Armenian. You can't learn out from there. You know why? The chiddush, basar v'chalav is a massive chiddush. Uma chiddush. What's the umay chiddush? Elam, if you're going to tell me the hayluchudei v'hayluchudei shari, the meat is mutter, the milk is mutter. Ubahadi adadi, and it's only the shidduch when you mix the genders. That's when it's going to be aser. Kalayim nami, so too by kalayim. Hayluchudei v'hayluchudei. Each species on its own is permissible. Shari. Ubahadi aser. So what would be the big chiddush by basar v'chalav? You can't learn out the kalayim. They would both share similar properties. Ella, you know what the chiddush by basar v'chalav is? If you soak the milk, the meat into the milk for the entire day, but chalav in the milk, shari, it's going to be butter. Bashalei b'shuli also, but if you cook it, it's going to be forbidden, which is a difficult thing to understand. The meat sits in the milk for 24 hours. Meat sits in the milk forever on a deraisa level, of course. Midrabanan it is aser, but on a deraisa level, that meat is not considered to have imparted anything into the milk. Why? Because it was not cooked. That's a massive chiddush. But whereas which cooking would be aser, and that's the reason why we cannot necessarily learn from basar v'chalav. Says the Gemara. So what does Rav Kiva do? Rav Kiva nami basar v'chalav ad chidushu. Rav Kiva Akiva concurs and agrees. Pasuk is a chiddush. Ella yol migulei nachrim. Says Rabbi Akiva, you know we learn it out from geulei Nachrim. Kulei Nachrim, when it comes to kashering utensils of a guy lav time of albu, it's just the taste in there. A guy cooked inside a pot. I get that pot. There's just taste left in the pot. And yet, what do we see? Va'aser. Hachanami leishnab ekol tarikula will say the same thing. And that's how Rabbi Akiva will learn out Tam Ke'eker. Again, Rabbi Akiva does not have a pasuk left for Tam Ke'eker because a pasuk of Mishras, Rabbi Akiva learns out for what? Hefter mitzaref le'eser. The Chachamim said no, Mishras learns out Tam Ke'eker. Says Rabbi Akiva, so how do I know the din of Tam Ke'eker? From Gulei Nachrim, the case of kashering by a guy. For Rabbanan says the Gemara, Gulei Nachrim nami chidushu. That's also a chiddush you can't necessarily learn from. The called noisy tam nefgam mutter the gamrina minavela. Or any time it imparts a bad taste. That we learn out from the Vila. Yet over here, even though it's imparting a bad taste, it's because it's going to be after 24 hours. By the kingdom of a guy, it's still going to be forbidden. For Rav Akiva, what is he old? Because Rav Chia bereid the Rav Huna Damar Lo Yaser Atayra Ella B'Kadira Bas Yaimai Midaraisa Kilim are only forbidden within 24 hours because that's when there's a taste. The tam is l'shvach. It's a good taste. Helkach Lav Noisi Nam Nevgamu. Therefore, it does not give off a bad taste. Only after the food sits in the pot for 24 hours inside the walls of the pot, then we assume that the taste that comes out of the blia, out of the absorbed taste, that is a blia that's lifkam, that's a detrimental. However, says Rabbi Akiva, I'm sorry, the only din da'araisa is on pots within 24 hours. For Rabbanan, what do they say? To say the no, even within 24 hours, still a little bit of pagam in there. We'll pick it up from here. We're still within this machlekes again. To Rav Yochanan, it's only like Rabbi Akiva that the pasuk of Mishras is teaching me a din of heter mitzaref le'iser. The Chacham have a totally different limud that the pasuk of Mishras teaches Tam Ke'eker. Rabbi Akiva learns out Tam Ke'eker from his place. Rabbanan learn out heter mitzaref le'iser from their place. Tomorrow we'll put it all together as we will continue in Daf.